This PS5 costs $350,000, and that is not clickbait. Rockstar just canceled a huge game. If you're playing on PC, you might have to wait a little bit longer for more PS5 games, and there's a new update for the PS5. Rockstar Games has been in the news lately a lot more than they would probably like, since most of the news that they've had surrounding them has been bad. I mean, we got GTA 5 coming to the PS5 as a full price game. They've already had to delay it. There's issues in all the trailers for it, like graphical bugs, like license plates looking weird, bugs from initial trailers for the game that are still in the game when it's coming to PS5. It's just not good all around. But there's an interesting story going around about them that I actually think is worth highlighting because it focuses on one of their long forgotten games. So way back, like I think around the time the PS3 was announced, there was going to be an exclusive spy game on the PlayStation 3. Like Sony was paying Rockstar to make a PS3 exclusive called Agent. Now this is a game that was announced, people got super hyped for it, and then it just completely disappeared, and every time someone would ask about it every few years, Rockstar would be like, yeah, we're still working on Agent, it's totally coming. It was on their website under games for the longest time, but recently it was just taken off of the site, which basically tells us that yeah, Agent is canceled and it's no longer coming out, period. It's just gone. So like I mentioned, this was a spy game. It was set in the 1970s during the Cold War. It just feels like the exact thing that we want to see from Rockstar. I think of like Mafia 3 and how that was set during the late 60s, early 70s, and how cool it seemed like that game was going to be, and then it came out and everyone was like, yeah, this game probably needed some more time in the oven or a better developer. So when you think about Rockstar making a game set in that time period, it's just hard not to be bummed that this game never came out. But then again, when you think of the story and the setup for it, it seems very single player oriented, and just considering that Rockstar really only seems to care about GTA Online at this point, it's easy to see why they might have pushed this one off to the side and just let it sail out to sea, never to be seen again. There's obviously a whole story behind this game that we're probably never going to get to hear, but hopefully one of these games journalists out there like figures out how to talk to someone who used to work at Rockstar or still works at Rockstar, and we can finally hear the history of this game now that it's canceled. I mean, like, why hide it at this point? So Sean Layden, the former CEO of PlayStation, I actually don't know if that's his title. That seems like a fake title. He was like the big boss over at PlayStation, if we're going to use Metal Gear terms. He's been doing the interview rounds lately, and he's been talking about some of the strategies that he left PlayStation on when he left the company. One of the most interesting things to me that he's been talking about is the decision to move games from PlayStation to PC and the whole philosophy there. And unfortunately, as someone who actually likes playing these games on PC, they're kind of confirming what I've thought from the beginning, and that this is just a way to get PC players to see how good the games that they're missing are over on the PS5. So they're going to continue with this whole strategy of when a game comes out on the PS5, waiting 12 to 18 months before they even think about porting it over to PC, and then it'll usually be the first game in the series, like Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone. I guarantee you will see Ghost of Tsushima or God of War from 2018 heading over to PC so that they can get people hyped for stuff like God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West, or you know, like Uncharted 6, 5? We'll go with Uncharted 5 because I don't want to count Lost Legacy as a full game. Even though it was $40 and boxed on its own, it doesn't really feel like Uncharted 5. I feel like that's what they'll go with for the next Uncharted game. And honestly, I totally get this strategy. I think it's good business sense on PlayStation's part, because if you wait that long to port these games from PS5 over to PC, it's usually after the amount of people that you have who are going to buy them on PS5 or PS4 have already bought them, right? The games have been on sale multiple times for $30, $10, $20. They may have been on PlayStation Plus, they might be in the PS Plus collection, and then after that huge amount of time, you can throw them up on Steam as brand new games and sell them for around $50 like they did with Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone. And then you can pay for the whole like porting cost, which isn't that much, because if you don't know this, the new consoles are basically just PCs that have one spec. It's not that hard to port these games over to PC. It's not that expensive. They actually own a PC porting company now, which is Nix's, so they're actually probably not spending that much money porting these games in the first place, and they're selling them for almost full price. Guarantee you they're making an arm and a leg off of these PC ports, because at the end of the day, guys, the games are good. Now, before the PS5 came out, you were kind of getting more of a benefit by waiting for PC, especially with Horizon Zero Dawn, because that one just got its 60 FPS patch on the PS5, but at the time it came out, it was only running at 30 frames per second, even on the PS4 Pro. So you had a real reason to go onto PC and play it, because you could play this open world, combat heavy action game at 60 frames per second. The same thing kind of goes for Days Gone, because even though it has a 60 FPS patch on the PS5, at the time it was starting to be rumored to come out on PC, it just didn't look that good on both the PS5 and the PS4 Pro. It had muddy textures. They got rid of the whole pop-in thing on the PS5, thankfully, with that 60 FPS patch, but on the PC, when it eventually came out there, it looked and ran a whole lot better. But as time goes on and the PS5 starts getting its own native games, I feel like you're going to be just fine buying those games day one, playing them on a controller, having a great time, and then when they come to PC, those players will get to enjoy them as well in their own way, but they're just going to have to wait for it and pay for it, baby. Now obviously Shawn Layden hasn't been over at PlayStation in a while, and Jim Ryan has replaced him, so these like philosophies that they're having about the PC games might have changed since he left, but whatever they're doing is working because I am one of the poor suckers who buys these games and double dips every time they come to PC. I've been thinking about it for a while now, and I will be double dipping on Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like that's the final place that I can end up where I'll actually finally beat that game. One of the more popular services Sony has created over the past few years is this whole play at home initiative, where you're actually just able to go on the PSN and download games completely free. And they've had some pretty awesome stuff on there, like Horizon Zero Dawn with all of its expansions just in time for the 60 FPS update. They also put Ratchet and Clank, the remake from a few years ago, on there just in time for that game's 60 FPS update and just in time for the sequel. Honestly guys, it's a really cool thing because there's no catch with it. You don't need PS Plus at all. You're just able to go on the PlayStation Store and download free games. And another one that just popped into my head that they gave away for free is Subnautica. It's an open world survival game that takes place underwater. You're basically trying to fix the ship that you crash landed on. No, you're trying to get parts from the ship you crash landed on and develop a new rocket to get off this planet that's completely covered by water and has really scary monsters on it. I got addicted to this game when it was free on the PlayStation. You can build mechs, you can build giant submarines, you can go and fight big scary monsters. It's a really cool game that I feel like not enough people have played, so if you grabbed it when it's free, I recommend checking it out. But long story short here is that Jim Ryan was asked if they're going to continue the play at home service, and they said yeah. And just because they've given away such cool games, I feel like that's awesome, because there's games that people don't want to buy at this point, or they can't play on their PS4 because they don't have the PS Plus collection that haven't been offered on PS Plus just yet, that I feel like Sony can still dig into their back catalog and pull out to give away for free. Obviously you're not going to start seeing stuff like Demon's Souls or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on there, but they had a few games on the PS4 generation that I feel like are still relevant today and that people still haven't played, and just getting them for free from Sony would get people to play these games and get excited about them. One option obviously is Bloodborne, because I've noticed not enough of you have played Bloodborne. And then another great option would be something like Resident Evil 2 Remake. They put that on sale so much on the PlayStation Store for $10. It would be great if they just gave it away to people for free. Resident Evil 3 Remake would be an option. Resident Evil 7, I would love to see that one go for free. Destiny 2 is on Game Pass with all of its expansions. Sony could do a great counter to that by making it a free play at home game. I mean, that would be awesome. There's so much content there. I don't know, these are just options that I think would be cool. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments below, and I'm glad that they're continuing with play at home. But if you took advantage of this play at home promotion and you've got a few extra dollars burning a hole in your pocket, might I suggest this amazing PS-ready shirt that we had designed that says my DualSense is tingling on it. Spider-Man is playing some PS5. Maybe he's playing Miles Morales. I don't know. Maybe that's what he was doing when he was on vacation in that game and he left Miles to watch over the city. The shirt, either way, is linked down in the description if you have YouTube Premium, and if you don't, it's on the merch shelf. So now that the dust has settled on the big firmware update we got for the PS5, people seem to be really liking it. Obviously, being able to expand the storage natively on your PS5 with a brand new SSD is great, because the 825 gigabytes you get out of the box fills up fast, and all of the little bonus things like trophies being reorganized, the fact that you can use 3D audio with your home TV speakers, all of that stuff is just a nice little bonus that they added on that people seem to be really enjoying. But they didn't stop there, because we just got a new firmware update for the PS5. Now this update is called like 21.04.97 blah blah blah, there's a billion numbers after it. I don't think any of those were right, so don't tell me down in the comments, but it's a 900 megabyte update, which honestly isn't that big, and all they say it's actually doing is minor software improvements. So not even being specific about what this update improves on your PS5, but I think with the updates like this, they still make you get them to log into the PlayStation Store and the PSN, so even if you don't want to download this, you're probably going to have to as soon as you turn on your PS5 when it's available. Obviously the updates that come along with features like being able to upgrade your SSD are a lot more fun to talk about, but I'm not going to complain about Sony continuing to iterate on this bad boy, because the better they update the machine, the longer it's going to keep running and the less hype there's going to be for a PS5 Pro that's eventually going to come, and I'll be able to keep $500 to $600 in my wallet at the end of the day. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm buying that thing day one. Whenever they release it, you will see it here on this channel, I promise you. But knowing that Sony's kind of moved on to the next big update for the PS5, I'm going to throw out a few suggestions that I've seen in the comments lately, starting with themes. People really want themes on the PS5. They want to customize it and have it look like their favorite games. I think we are going to eventually get those because we got them on the PS4, we got them on the Vita, we had them on the PSP and the PS3. It would be very weird for Sony not to have themes. The only reason I can think of for them not to include it is they love to put ads all over the PS5 home screen, but I feel like eventually we are going to get themes. Another thing people really want on the main dashboard is folders, and I completely agree. Being able to group your games into folders instead of having an insanely long cross-media bar is just a nice little quality of life thing that they don't have just yet. Another thing people really want is variable refresh rate, which was a bigger problem back when the PS5 came out. So what was happening in specifically games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is that you were getting screen tearing if the game dropped below its 60 FPS target, which by the way, Valhalla was not a very well optimized game and was dropping below 60 frames per second quite a bit. I cannot stand screen tearing. I hate it. It's like the one thing that I really don't like. So hopefully they can figure out variable refresh rate updates in the future. And then finally, of course, people really want native 1440p support on the PS5. Now currently, games can run at 1440p and look fine. They'll just run at 1440p on a 4K display, which is annoying because if you plug in a 1440p monitor, the console defaults to 1080p because it's not gonna go up. It's going to go down. Obviously 1080p is not why you're buying a PS5, so people really want that native 1440p support. And honestly, I think it's kind of weird that Sony's like excuse for this is, yeah, we didn't know people would want it, but the most common resolution now for 144 hertz monitors, 120 hertz monitors, 240 hertz monitors, all these different higher hertz is 1440p. So they need to get on that ASAP. I don't think it would honestly be that hard to include either because like every computer and gaming device at this point pretty much supports 1440p, except like the Nintendo Switch. And then finally, one thing they should really get working on is a competitor to smart delivery where all you need to do is just go to the store on the Xbox and click download on the game you want to play. And if you're on a Series X, it downloads the Series X version. If you're on a Series S, it downloads the Series S version. If you're on Xbox One, you guys get it. It downloads the best version of the game no matter which one you click download on. The PS5 needs to copy that feature. They also need to figure out a way to copy quick resume so that you can suspend your games and the memory and have multiple games saved in the memory at once. That is one of the coolest features on the Xbox Series X that I really want on my PS5. Just crossing my fingers here. I'm sure there's some copyright stuff they have to figure out, but Sony, you can copy those. It's all good. I'm giving you permission. I am not a lawyer. I have no idea if you'll get in any legal trouble for copying direct features from the Xbox Series X, but I'm pretty sure they've done it to you over the past 20 years, so just get them back with those ones. So if by some chance you're walking around in Russia right now and you still don't have a PS5 and you really want one, and you've got like 350K burning a hole in your pocket, there's a website called Caviar that definitely has you covered with the gaudiest PS5 I've ever seen. This thing's covered from top to bottom in 18 karat gold and it ships worldwide. So even if you're not in Russia, but you've got like 400K burning a hole in your pocket, go buy one of these bad boys for 320 and then filter me the other 300 that you've got laying around. I'll take it. I would need some cash, guys. Hook me up. And if you really want to flex on your friends, they've got one that uses even more gold. That's $352,000, and that one actually uses like $200,000 worth of gold in the construction of the device. So in terms of value, you should not spend that much money on a PS5, but honestly, they're not marking it up all that much. I mean, they're marking it up like 100 grand, and if you're spending that much already on a PS5, like I feel like that's still just pocket change for you. You're not losing that much money overall on the conversion there. Like, if you're buying a gold PS5, I guess you couldn't really go wrong with this one. I don't know if you'll ever get it because this seems completely fake to me, but apparently this is a real website. But unfortunately, I gotta knock some points off these guys because they're selling a real alligator skin PS5 for $8,000. I don't know. I guess some people are still into buying alligator skin devices and products. I think that's kind of lame because animals are cool. Alligators are also very cool. I like how they just sit in the water and ignore people. And if you've never seen an alligator run, it's actually kind of funny because they like spin their legs really fast and they can run like 35 miles an hour. They go into like sport mode, they lift themselves like 6 inches off the ground and you're like, uh-oh, this thing's gonna chase me. So if you guys are ever being chased by an alligator because you bought an alligator skin PS5 and he told his buddies about it from the afterlife, just start running in zigzag patterns because alligators cannot run zigzag. They can only run straight and they're fast as hell. Anyway guys, that's all the PlayStation news I had for you today. Make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications set to all, and let me know what you think of all these PS5s down in the comments comments below. As always guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, alligator.